Alright, hello all you cheesecake enthusiasts out there. We are here today to examine and grade every cake, well mostly, that is available to purchase, eat, compliment, or condemn at the Cheesecake Factory, and we're going beyond mere taste tests. If you're expecting another tier list with content like, yeah, the fresh strawberry, I give it A tier for tasting like strawberry, and fresh, this ain't your list. Expect a generous helping of adult humor, swearing, and opinionated commentary, and therefore a lot of triggering if you're the insecure type. My advice, don't be an insecure type. Remember, boys and girls, we are talking about my opinions of cakes here, not politics, social issues, equality, inequality, or if Greedo really did shoot before Han Solo. Try not to get your feelings hurt. This may be a tier list, but if me ranking a cake lower than you would have has even the slightest chance of causing tears, then know that listening further may result in you one day discussing this list with a psychiatrist. If you're a sensitive viewer, then I'd advise that you go ahead and fuck right off before you get to something offensive. It's humorous entertainment, so duh. Now, you've probably seen other lists out there created with the K through 12 grading system as a template, with F being the worst tier and the highest tier being, that's right, S. Not here. Since this is also a roast, I will be using a recently emerging grading system that uses steak temperatures as degrees of how cooked a cake gets, and they are as follows. Tier 1 cakes are rare, raw, and as palate-pleasing as they come. Virtually unroastable rare cakes are hella essential, and if I find out who takes them off the menu, I will track you down like a team of tax auditors made of ex-girlfriends. Tier 2 cakes are medium rare, aka the broiler's kiss. This roasting will only lightly cook them to a lovable, little flawed, mildly tanned complexion. Tier 3 is medium tier. Tier 3ers are all the most overlookable and inoffensive selections we have. Plain, ordinary, uninspired. Like if we ever got a vanilla cheesecake, we'd park its ass right here and never speak of it again. By the way, hashtag sneak attack. Tier 4 is well done territory. These cakes have deal-breaking faults that will permanently separate you from all sorts of neat things. Second dates, my respect, $9 or $10 well spent, you get the picture. Tier 5 is fried black tier. If it's here, it's roasted to cinders. It's burnt to a dusty crisp. It's charred like a forest in Cali. Tier 5 means they put that cake in the oven, forgot about it over a 3-day weekend, and returned to a pile of the factory's smoldering remains. So here's the scoop. Tiers 1 through 3 means we can serve that sucker with its creamy dollop and send it on its way. 4 and 5 mean it deserves little more than getting spanked with 40 lashes of roasting. Everyone clear on the rules? It's whip that cake or whip that cake. Let's begin. In no particular order. Number 1, the Caramel Pecan Turtle Cheesecake. Turtle is an apt name considering how slow the sales on this thing are and how long it's taken to die off the menu. I'm pretty sure it actually got canceled years ago, but we have still been incapable of running out of it. Can we all take a second to acknowledge the cake in the display predates most of the bakers? I don't think one's migrated from the pool since last Christmas. The last time a table inquired about it using its full name, I literally had to follow their finger to it in the menu. I thought it was something new, and then my finger got a workout trying to zero in on its Where's Waldo rendition in our workstation widget. It also has really slow sales. Did I mention that? Dude, its sales versus, say, a Red Velvet are like an actual turtle on Benadryl-laced tranquilizers racing a jackrabbit on espresso-laced cocaine. You know those speed controls on the riding lawnmowers at Lowe's where it shows velocity from turtle to hare? The cheesecake equivalent would look something like turtle to fresh strawberry. Dude, this yard's getting us behind schedule. Put it in Oreo. Still, you could go worse than the turtle as your dessert, though considering how difficult it would be to do so, I'd say that'd be a job about as well done as I'm cooking the turtle cheesecake. Damn, low tier, yo. Number 2, the lemon meringue cheesecake. We use the same marshmallow ooze on this that we do the s'mores, but this cake wears it like a pro. Rather than being stretched over a horrific baby bump, it's draped in layered fashion across a trim figure, and it'll leave a pleasing lemon-hinted coat of it on your fork, fingers, plate, to-go box, and various other surfaces you'll enjoy running your tongue over until they're squeaky clean. They should call this cake the Lemony Lickets. Now, I know what you're thinking, but dude, isn't the lemon meringue going directly into fried black tier, cause it literally gets fried on the counter? Good thinking, avid viewer, and I must reply, hell no. Have you tried a slice? It's lightly cooked at worst, which in this case actually complements its flavor. Furthermore, the lemon meringue is both dressy and messy. It'll get down and scrap with the best of them with its tangy attitude, all the while keeping that dress in runway shape. Other cakes don't think that pretty here means helpless unless you want to get owned in a tasting contest. Lemon meringue, you're the whole package. Don't ever change. And while you're not at it, tell haters they better think twice about judging your pretty girl book by its cover, bitch. Medium rare. Number 3, the carrot cake. To be honest, this is probably my second favorite cake here that isn't a cheesecake. One thing's for sure, whoever's ordering this thing is in desperate need of those carrots because their eyes managed to miss the part about the 1,700 calories they're putting away for a single serving. One slice of this thing packs more calories than a steak dinner. Did you guys actually fucking hear what I just said? More than a steak dinner. And we're talking a ribeye, not some lean filet. A ribeye. And it's not even close. You could add a couple scoops of vanilla ice cream on top of that juicy steak and it'll still be shy of that 1,700. From there, the cake is on a sort of seesaw of pros and cons. Pro, it's pretty good. Con, it's 1,700 calories. Pro, you get a smidge of vitamin A with each slice. Con, you get a whole stalk's worth of carrot in your teeth with each slice. Pro, you'll save money because you don't have to buy anything else to eat for a couple days. Con, you'll lose money when this thing helps you void the warranty on your bathroom scale. All in all, its cons about perfectly balance out its pros, making for a distinct middle-of-the-pack placement. Carrot cake is medium. Just don't plan on staying in a medium if you eat more than one of these per lifetime. Number 4, the chocolate mousse cheesecake. The chocolate mousse is actually more enjoyable than my expectations gave it credit for. It was creamy, loose, and surprising. Kind of like your urgent early morning trip to the bathroom after Taco Bell night. Seriously, I was one bite away from frying this species of mousse to an inch of a charred extinction with my version of the Black Death, but it honestly doesn't deserve that. Now, it will never be close to top tier. Chocolate is a crutch that cake should be wary of relying on. Once a cake leans too much on it, it may find its complacent, towering slices crashing to a permanent position as the rubble of our bottom tier. What can you expect from a cake that is chocolate with a side of chocolate and piled higher than any other cake with chocolate? Shit, this description reminds me of something. Anyway, the mousse avoids this by introducing the novelty of a silky glide and smooth finish. Your fork will slice through the mousse like a lightsaber through butter, where then it'll cut through your body like a lightsaber through butter. Yeah, I should have spent a little more time on that one. But wrapping up, we'll give it a medium roasting. Still much better than the ash and dust I was expecting to reduce it to. Number 5, the Oreo Dream Extreme Cheesecake. Ah yes, the infamous Oreo. Take a second to envision the perfect day. Your stocks are up, the boss just left for vacation, and your mother-in-law's hospitalization has been extended a couple more weeks. This day is a dream, and can only be complemented by an equally splendid dessert, the Oreo Dream. Yo, are you a fan of Oreos? I sure hope you are, cause this thing's got some of those. It probably comes at no surprise that the Oreo cheesecake is one of our flagship desserts. I can still remember the first time seeing this barge with its cookie-stuffed hold, chocolatey bow, chocolate chip barnacles, and that big-ass Oreo wafer spread out like a sail. And do these things sail? We launch at least an armada of them an hour, right after smashing smaller Oreos upon their bows in lieu of champagne. Oh, and dude, witnessing that giant cookie for the first time was a surprise about as nice as a 50% tip, and plucking it from the mash was like entering said tip into the POS. You guys are putting those in, right? Cause you gotta if you want to get paid. As I was saying, the Oreo is one of the only ships bound to the heavenly shores of top tier. We'll cook it for around 0 minutes, cause it's about as rare as they get. Number 6, the tower cake. Oh hell yeah, this one's getting fried so black you won't be able to tell it apart from the to-go box we lay it in. And the dumb part, it probably ain't getting much blacker, but we're gonna try anyway. Especially when you slice it, the tower cake looks like part of the jagged rubble of a crumbled tower. It could honestly pass as a piece of Baradur after a particularly heated roasting of Sauron and Gollum's favorite accessory, and of Gollum. That'll look like a relaxing dip in a hot tub compared to the torching I'm giving this wreckage. It even looks charred. That's probably why it can't stand properly. Who knew chocolate and cake were such poor load-bearing materials? Moving on, though having layers usually means a heavy resistance to mundane one-dimensional repertoires, it doesn't work if all of them are just more chocolate. Tower cake is roasted like chestnuts on Christmas Day. Its scrap and remains are the soil of bottom tier, where dumbass unoriginal ideas are planted, fertilized by the shit of culinary mediocrity, and harvested for the tasteless slop that uncultured swines squeal for more of every goddamn day. Fried black. Number 7, the coconut cream pie cheesecake. Okay, let's get this out of the way. This thing should shoot directly to top tier for just having the name cream pie. LOL, I have tried to avoid as many sexual jokes as possible in this list, but sometimes things just slip through the cracks. Alright y'all, that's enough. Time to introduce a little class here. I can go ahead and verify all the rumors right now. The coconut cream pie is a cake made of 100% coconut, and a couple other things too. Are pina coladas your thing? Then you're gonna like this cake. Are you into almond joys? Then you're gonna like this cake. Are you cuckoo for coconuts? Then you're gonna like this cake. If you answered no, I don't like coconut, then it was a mistake ordering this cake. Too obvious? You'd think so, but we literally get people who order something like this and then complain it wasn't good because of the coconut. Are you psychotic? We should rename this the Cocoa Customer in honor of how nutty you are. Back to the roasting, I do have to dock the coconut some points on account of how much of a bitch it is to get a slice of it. No, I mean how hard it literally is to pry it from its base. It is soldered onto the cardboard, creating a vacuum seal that, if you please, sucks. Everything else about a coconut transforming to cake form is a blessing, except the difficulty of cracking it open. Come on, coconut. Enjoy being merely high tier for as long as that kink ain't ironed out. We'll see you at the top. Number 8, the 30th anniversary chocolate cheesecake. Now, in the category of cakes that are getting hella roasted, the 30th misses that by a substantial enough margin actually. In an ever-expanding roster of chocolate cake one-hit blunders, this cake separates itself with a dressy presentation and OG interstices. Just be careful about its weight. Look, I don't believe the menu listing about it being near 1,300 calories. 1,600? Probably. 1,450? There's an outside chance. But 1,300? Hell no. Talk about fudging the truth with literal fudge. Eat it, you'll see. There's a sneaky side to this one. While you're enjoying this slice, be wary that it'll covertly sneak more calories into your allotment than you're probably budgeted for. It's like a reverse burglar. It kinda even looks like a reverse burglar. It's like if you were woken up in the dead of night by faint rustling, you run downstairs and see a dude already in some striped black and white prison garb stealthily installing a 4K TV in your living room, and when you catch him he runs over to also give you his own life savings before calling the police on himself, and you're standing there mouth agape like, what the fuck? That's the 30th. It's good, but you get more than you were prepared to take, and like the cake's code itself, I'm cooking it half and half, medium. Number 9, the fresh strawberry shortcake. Besides the fact that this unfortunate item is actually like 6 or more little items, the strawberry shortcake is one of the most frustrating stress tests I've ever seen a baker contend with. Preparing a strawberry shortcake is sorta like preparing one of the cheesecakes, but it's actually a lot more like preparing a strawberry shortcake. This thing is needier than most guests. It needs biscuits, whip, strawberries, ice cream, double the counter space, 5 minutes of prep, and up to 4 to-go containers because 3 scoops of ice cream aren't in the main container, and those scoops don't always get packed together like you'd think. This also makes it really awkward to sit other cakes next to it in a bag. I mean, imagine being seated next to a guy on a plane who had most of his body inside his clothes, but as you peek over you notice 3 specific parts of him hanging out and bouncing all over your arm and leg. That's a nasty hassle, bro. But that's the shortcake, needy and obnoxious to the max. And forget its sugar content, this thing will cause a fortune in dental bills from bakers grinding their teeth to their gums upon seeing 2 or 3 of them an hour. Hashtag 86 shortcakes for eternity, and hashtag dump our current supply in an incinerator, roasted and fried AF. Number 10, the key lime cheesecake. Dude, the key lime is like top tier. I don't see how we ever managed to defrost this thing with how chill and frozen it stays seated on the tip top of the world of desserts as it is. Key lime is a popular selection in any sweets venue. Part sweet, part tart is somehow exotic even with how common it is in desserts. It's just one of those things that is simply divine when mixed, much like part Spanish, part Asian to-go dudes. Now, just because I like this cake doesn't mean the fact it's basically a key lime pie cheesecake is lost to me. Talk about mixed. So basically, the key lime cheesecake is a derivative of a key lime pie, but then again, cheesecake is simply a derivative of just cake. And I guess that would make the key lime itself a derivative of, yep, that's right, the lime. Kinda like part Spanish, part Asian to-go dudes are a derivative of sexy itself. But let's avoid the tangential. Right before that though, let's take a quick second to mention the tangential tangerine. Those are related to limes and key limes, right? How come there's not some kind of that or orange cheesecake? Key lime and other citrusy cakes are all beautiful, naturally colored knockouts, sorta like part Spanish, part Asian to-go dudes. Okay, no more of those. But yeah, the key lime is raw as red meat. Top tier this slice of citrus. Shit, citrus? More like sit Chris down with a slice of this heaven. Yum. Number 11, the mango key lime cheesecake. Long ago, the brains in our cheesecake research and development department struck gold with a tasty, tarty, top-tier tropical titan known as the key lime cheesecake. And then during a late-night celebration of its success, one of them got a little too wasted and thought, hey, we finally got something new we can ruin by adding mango. Thus, the inferior key lime was born, and they called it the mango key lime cheesecake. And so do we. My opinion of this perverse creation is that it's kinda weird. I don't like mango very much, so bear that in mind. Aside from this though, mangoes have another unfortunate quality, and that's being an ingredient in everything remotely tropical. But the mango key lime isn't actually that bad. Even more tropical than the regular key lime, it should come with one of those cocktail umbrellas and a soothing sunset. Speaking of sun, this thing has a nicely tanned complexion complete with a bronzy glow. I'm not 100% sure how it got that tan when it spends 100% of its time standing in the shadow of its pureblood counterpart. What I will say is that ranking the mango medium and moderately cooked is actually faithful to its halfway to charged shade and its likability. We'll give it a solid position right at mid-tier, far enough from the actual key lime and its transcendence section, but also far enough from the what the fuck were they thinking section. Let's proceed. Number 12, the pineapple upside down cheesecake. Dude, I think this one is very good, mostly because it's very good. Pineapple upside down cake is just one of all sorts of delectable things to originate from tropical beachy places. Along with heavy pour Mai Tais, freshly sliced pufferfish, and much younger wives, pineapple upside down cake is a lip-licking pleasure without the slightest foreseeable downside. Except the obvious one in its baking posture. I looked it up and any sort of upside down cake is one that is actually made, like baked, upside down. I wonder if a similar credential is in the birth certificates of people from Antarctica. I don't know why this cake is less popular than the mango key lime either. The pineapple is bronzy too, fruity too, on the lighter side too, tropically too, and even better, in tier 2, as opposed to the mango. It doesn't quite make sense. Then again, despite a nearly faultless resume, the pineapple upside down cheesecake is not something that comes to anyone's mind as their A pick, nor pick B, nor C, D, E. It's all the way down at pick Z, and that consensus includes me. As much as I like it, I never really remember the pineapple unless I see it. Broiler's kiss. Even with the medium rare searing, the pineapple's easily high tier. Number 13, the tiramisu cheesecake. In an age where sipping on some type of delicious designer coffee is a mark of taste and chic sophistication, you'd think that this slice would be more flavorful than a cup of our decaf. But then you wouldn't be eating a tiramisu cheesecake now, would you? Everything about it is a little too underwhelming. Quick question, were you interested in enjoying your dessert? Cause this one sucks if you wanted to enjoy your dessert. Maybe I'm a little biased because I'm not the biggest fan of ordinary tiramisu to begin with, nor tiramisu flavored things, but this cake is just so unmemorable. It's not the worst looking cake, so there's that, but the rest of it is more of a snooze fest than a terms of service agreement written in binary. That's kind of an obscure reference, I guess, so you'll be excused for applauding it later when it makes sense. This is where the tiramisu's association with coffee could actually help. You'll need that coffee to keep you awake on your trip to scrape this boring waste into the trash. This bland slice is fried black, just as fans probably take their actual cup of coffee. Number 14, the celebration cheesecake. This cake would be cooked medium to me based on flavor, but its tendency to confuse people into thinking it's free on their birthday nudges it out of passable, especially considering the awkward and tip-munching conversation 1 second later. Speaking of birthdays, I wonder if this thing was ever called the birthday cake cheesecake. I mean, even just during its conception and creation. In this case, I get why they decided on celebration to avoid the aforementioned, oh, I thought it was free because it's my birthday situations. Man, fuck those entitled bitches. Speaking of creation, conception, and fucking, am I the only one who has wondered what it'd be like if we produced an erotic cheesecake line? Think about all the raw material we have in just the naming department. Birthday cake cheesecake speaks for itself. How about birthday suit cheesecake? Isn't that the idea? We already have a cake with both nut and cream pie in the title, two mildly suggestive themes, and every time a cashier calls for a 7-inch whatever cake, I have to resist the urge to reply, I got a 7-inch for you. This isn't directed at anyone, obviously, it's just such a slick setup. It's literally a compulsory thought for anyone working in this industry, and if you want to debate this, you haven't spent any time in this industry. But back to the tier list. Personally, I think there are plenty of other cakes far more worthy than the celebration for your celebration, like pretty much anything in the upper 3 tiers. And look, if you're actually celebrating some achievement with this cake, great, okay. Let me be the first to award both you and it with a well done. Number 15, the Cinnabon Cinnamon Swirl Cheesecake. Rare and raw as a floppy slice of sashimi, a word that comes from the Japanese word sashimi, which itself means a slice of fish that's raw and floppy, and quite the delicacy. Yep, top tier. Ah shit, I was supposed to say that at the end. Oh well, hell yeah man, I like it. I like it way much. I tell people all the time that if the Cinnabon even sounds like it could be good, you're gonna like it too. You may have noticed me periodically referencing a heaven tier. That's tier 1, rare category, and that means I like it, if that wasn't clear. The Cinnabon is going to heaven, if that also wasn't clear. Ironically though, because of the way it makes me froth with gluttonous enthusiasm, this cake is quite the devilish pleasure. I mean, it's got sin in the name twice for a reason. This is one of those cakes I won't even need a box for. Despite the Cinnabon's heavy portioning, I'll cut through a whole slice of it the way 4th place must cut through self-esteem at the Olympics. I can't help myself. It's just such a thick sweetheart. If it was a woman, I'd probably kiss her. Except replace the word probably with constantly, and the word kiss with the phrase make love to, ooh la la. Hey guys, can we get some privacy? Shit, Cinnabon, you can take your delectable ass directly to top tier. Number 16, the Adams Peanut Butter Cup Fudge Ripple Cheesecake. If this were a tier list of candy, and this were just a peanut butter cup, or just fudge, or even just a peanut butter cup with fudge, it'd be in top tier slice of heaven category easy, but it's not. We have a Frankenstein of sweets here crawling the cold corridors and crevices of cake pools and counter displays coast to coast. Damn, have you ever heard better alliteration? And it's waiting for some unfortunate soul to show it some sympathy. Don't. Adam is here to lead humanity even further down the path to the hottest roast in history. Speaking of which, you'd think Adam would have learned that if he didn't want to get roasted, food experimentation is the one surefire road to get him roasted. Ha, see what I did there? Rewind this and listen again. You're not allowed in heavenly places anymore, fool, and that certainly includes my Garden of Eden of top tier. You got greedy. You were deceived again, dumbass, this time by the promise of combining 2 heavenly desserts into the bite of blasphemy we have before us. You got like one more strike before getting charred to a black crisp in hell. Well done, infidel. Number 17, the Lowlicious Cheesecake. Dude, there are costs to eating good cake. Like it's gonna cost you most of your day's calorie allowance. The very notion that the Lowlicious exists speaks to the fact that people will suck the fun and pleasure out of anything if they think it'll save them some of the cost. That's like going to Disney World, paying for parking, but avoiding the actual park to keep costs down. I think you're completely missing the point. If you're gonna eat a piece of cake, eat a piece of cake. I'm not sure who sincerely believes they can eat cake, like it, and remain faithful to their diet. Let's talk about what I believe. I believe this cake is a phony. Yeah, it's supposedly made with lighter ingredients, but has anyone ever noticed that it's also quite a bit smaller than the others? Do you think that has something to do with it? Just cut any of the others in half and nurture your goddamn palate. Low calorie coincides with a tasty cake about as often as low moisture coincides with swimming laps in the pool. But here's the deal. I dug the Lowlicious a deep premature grave in my bottom tier to bury it in after its crispified execution, except now I wouldn't want anyone to confuse its mediocrity with the nauseating insult of its poisonberry counterpart, who I'm burying deeper than hell for the record, but it does have low in its name for a reason, so go right into low tier. Well done. Number 18, the Lowlicious Cheesecake with Strawberries. I've eaten one Lowlicious with strawberries in my life, and I have had one emergency double shot of Pepto-Bismol. This was the nastiest cake I have ever had. Unlike the regular Lowlicious and its almost decent taste, and therefore resistance to parody, the Lowlicious with strawberries is gag-worthy. God, talk about layered jokes. Damn, I'm good. Get it? Gag-worthy? Genius as fuck. Anyway, the Lowlicious with strawberries es no bueno, bro. Those strawberries are wretched and retch-inducing. It ain't good to begin with, and surprisingly, the aftertaste is even worse. It finishes with hints of chemistry set and poison. Let's face it, although marginally better than expected, the regular Lowlicious is shit compared to like any other cake. But then you add these rotten berries, you can't polish a turd to begin with, and this is like trying to polish a turd with diarrhea. which is an irritable bowel condition you won't probably have to contend with on account of an explosive puke attack. I hate the Lolicious with strawberries. The very memory makes me want to barf. Could you guess yet which gastrointestinal distress this cake will cause? Its only act is to springboard off of the massive success of its high-tier twin. It's a culinary hack that'll make you hack into a vomit sack while you demand your money back and I roast it black, charred to all fucking hell. Number 19, the limoncello cream torte. When you peer into the cake case searching for your solution to sweet tooth, you're faced with dozens of tempting instruments of satiety. Then you look past all the obvious celebrated selections to the big, quiet introvert in the corner, away from the bustle by itself. It's at this moment you realize that what you really wanted was something both special and different all along. A big cut of sophisticated taste, the limoncello is a perfect blend of masculinity and femininity, kind of like an actual cello. An imposing rogue at first, this cake proves itself quite the lovable empath when you get to know it. Give it a try and you realize it has the sweetest heart of sugar that is multiple times broken from rejection, worn on the sleeve, and both tastes and looks suspiciously like a sliced strawberry. The limoncello is packed with all sorts of unapparent complexity and a personality of varied colors. Speaking of colors, eat one and tell me it doesn't taste like a bowl of Fruit Loops in the non-nutritious form of a cake. Lemon things generally rank pretty high in this list, and this just in, the limoncello is a lemon thing. We'll save it a bench in the rare category. It may have a warm heart, but it gets a temperature of cold red center. Number 20, the ultimate red velvet cheesecake. If ever there was a cake that could stand on its name and stage presence alone, it's the ultimate red velvet. Everyone knows what it is and everybody kinda wants some, even those who don't personally like it that much. For instance, I don't consider myself a fan of red velvet cakes, whether they be ultimate or mediocre, cheese or the other kind. Yet, I still find myself wanting some when I see it, and unable to resist eating most of a dead one whenever those occur and I want to get my vulture on. This is a cake where its hype vastly outshines the actual act of eating one. After a nice long gaze at its admittedly tempting girth, complete with an egotistic name, you break and get a slice of this reimagined classic. What happens? Exactly what you were expecting. In a way, it's everything a cake should strive for. If it wanted to be an ordinary rendition of a tiresome meme, whose father is the bad guy in this movie? How many vampire clans are in your tween book series? A helpless victim is running much slower than they should be from an axe murderer, and they just tripped on something. What was it this time? A shoe? A tree branch? The recently deceased body of their best friend? Or, like it is 9 out of 10 times, not a goddamn thing at all. Classic? No, repetitive and unimaginative. The ultimate red velvet represents the cheesecake homogenized sampler of all these things. It's played out. But I still like it. It's hard to come to grips with the conflicting opinions I have about this one, so I'll just roast it on medium for being the cake medium of derivative recipes. Number 21, the chocolate caramelicious cheesecake made with Snickers. The chocolate caramelicious cheesecake made with Snickers is a cheesecake made with chocolate, caramel, and, ooh, you guessed it, Snickers. With a couple distinct exceptions, I'm not a fan of cakes made of candy. If this were a tier list of the most vain and extravagant titles, however, this John Hancock would be cemented at the tip top. Speaking of which, can we draft our own document to declare our independence from the Mars Corporation? None of their contributions are helping. Don't get me wrong, I love a good Snickers bar, but here it just lands kind of flat. If I absolutely must have Snickers as an afterthought ingredient in a dessert, I'll take one of those ice cream Snickers bars. In a cheesecake, it's only a supporting player. It's backup. It's tacked on. The laugh track of a sitcom. It carries material that doesn't need to be carried and only adds a few lazy snorts. Guess its name isn't Snickers for nothing. Look, it's alright. Better than its siblings' performance in that other candy cake anyway. Mid-tier. Medium is probably too generous for it, but we wouldn't want it sharing a tier with its weirdo, ugly, illegitimate stepbrother from the Addams family, within which there are likely numerous mediums now that I think about it. God, y'all catch the layers in that one? Number 22, the fresh strawberry cheesecake. The fresh strawberry cheesecake improves upon the decent formula of the original by enhancing it with some small but critical additions. A few strategically placed fresh strawberries, and boy isn't that a shocker. But these berries aren't your average freshly delivered kind, right? Well, actually they kinda are. This cake is called the fresh strawberry. Didn't you hear me the first time? God, I've been reading to y'all for over 20 minutes, providing free entertainment and asking that you pay nothing but attention, you ungrateful lazy ass piece of Wait, what? Oh, we can't just... Yes, yes, fine. I understand. Okay, valued listeners, it appears my marketing agent objects to more than 2 insults of our valued listeners per contract with her. So, as I was saying, the strawberries also get rolled around in this gooey glaze of glazy goo. Tasty, yes, but there is a bit of a hidden cost, which brings us to the worst aspect of this cake. Bakers get the burden of another hour's worth of prep each morning. What a jolly good time. Every week, the openers gotta abuse over 1,000 strawberries in over one of their carpal tunnels. I mean, maybe they don't, but I switch hands because they get tired. But although everything about making a fresh strawberry cheesecake is a tedious bitch, it isn't our most popular for nothing because it is delightful. So much so that it only fails to claim a seat in rare category by one tier, and that's for the burning backlash it gets when igniting our tempers with 6, 7, and 10-inch forms. Medium rare. Number 23, the white chocolate raspberry truffle. It is my pleasure to introduce you to my very favorite type of cake, tush-related variants notwithstanding. This is one of the only ones that I could literally eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch, tea time, midnight snack, lollipop moment after a doctor visit, you name it. And take note that I like white chocolate, but it's not my favorite. But combined with raspberry as it is, it gets quickly upgraded to being as life essential as the heartbeat that upgrade happens in. Hey, white chocolate raspberry, you want to leave the other cakes a little room for error? How can they compete with your perfection? Oh, what's that? Hogging the spotlight? Shit, they better hog that spotlight like they're going out of style, because that's exactly what they'll be doing once people discover this underrepresented gem. But at the same time, the raspberry's obscurity is probably for the best. Imagine the spike in hospital admissions after the spike in the raspberry's popularity causes a spike in everyone's blood sugar levels. Speaking of which, if they died for this reason, damn, willfully developing and succumbing to type 2 diabetes over this slice was the rawest use of deuces you've ever seen. On an equally morbid side note, if they ain't serving white chocolate raspberry at my funeral, then I ain't dying. White chocolate raspberry, take your throne in top tier heaven. Number 24, the caramel apple. Yeah, the caramel apple's alright, a bit basic in the creativity department. Apples are like playing the culinary game on easy mode. They go well with many desserts and blend well with the basic components of desserts, like sugar, cinnamon, caramel, and fattening. As uncomplicated as they are, apples, and therefore apple cheesecakes, are able to conjure up a myriad of interesting emotions, symbolism, opinions, and various other things for people to bitch about. There's so much to discuss regarding this simple fruit. They are the target of easy cooking, yes, but also have been used in archery as literal targets, sat above their shivering stands, which in the old days were made of people for some reason. They're the mascot of that little-known tech company. Their autumny attributes evoke state fairs and life-sustaining harvest, while they also evoke death and man's fall on God's tier list to the "well done, you dumbasses, what'd I tell you about that apple" ranking. They also evoke patriotism, therefore apple cakes themselves, cheese or otherwise, are just as American as apple pie, go figure. What a lazy-ass reference, you say? Well, they're also about as American as sipping on a $6 coffee while steering your car with a knee so you can post on social media about all the shitty drivers and overpriced coffee out there. Satisfied yet? Back to the cake, in spite of all this excess and baggage, you get exactly what you'd expect, so know that this apple's just what the doctor ordered, which is something I wasn't aware they actually did. I just wish it had a little more to do with creativity and a little less to do with eternal damnation. The caramel apple cheesecake gets a light searing brief enough to still admit it to high tier. Broiler's kiss. Number 25, the Hershey's chocolate bar cheesecake. Okay, before we get started, let it be known that I don't consider myself a feminist, activist, linguist, modernist, or etymologist. I'm also definitely not a pacifist, as evidenced by recording an entire tier list on the roastability of cakes, and what I'm about to say right now. Does anyone else out there, however slightly, feel like this chocolate company's name sounds a little sexist? I can audibly detect 2 female pronouns in the same word being alarmingly associated with tasty desserts. Most women don't appreciate being objects, and I'm sure as shit a lot of them would have an issue being thought of as merely candy or sweets. Someone ought to put a stop to this. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Now that we got that unpleasantness out of the way, let's proceed. Well, what can I say that has not already been said about similar cheesecakes? Candy cakes don't really get me in the mood, neither do chocolate cakes, generally speaking, and I'm sure not impressed by a chocolate candy cake. As far as taste goes, it's kinda what you'd expect. It's on the disappointing side, though nearly all the chocolate cakes are, but I've discovered that you can avoid the disappointing taste by not eating it. I want to hurry up and be done with this, or rather well done with this, so let's just get to the point. If you want a chocolate cake to appease your cocoa bean dependency, and you also want something with crap statistics for this tier list, Hershey's will break you off a piece of this shit stat bar. Well done. Number 26, the Godiva Chocolate Cheesecake. Legend and Google results have it that Godiva chocolate originates from a magical realm called Belgium. Now, Belgium is known to be the fatherland of many decadent, delicious chocolate treats. Even Godiva chocolates themselves are quite fine, like bars or boxes of them, or those little square pieces in the bakery we're not supposed to eat. So when I tried this cheesecake for the first time, my expectations were understandably high, and then betrayed. Bro, the Godiva cheesecake is fucking offensive. Just south of the Godiva fatherland, there's another storied realm where its people are known for their heavy and enthusiastic cheese consumption, but I don't think even the French would appreciate this variation of cheese. I can see it now. They'd be all, "Mamma mia, that's a shitty cheesecake." Wait, say that again? I hope you enjoy a taste so puckeringly rich it'll bankrupt your confidence in imported sweets. Chocolate cakes were already of questionable solvency around here, and now I have less faith in them than Greece's economy. Dude, what's your problem? Lay off the Europeans. Fine, look, you weenies. Europe is awesome, despite how backwards many of their practices are. Over there, they drive on the opposite side of the road, the word gallon is pronounced liter, and I bet your red velvet cheesecakes eat people. Anyway, the Godiva cheesecake is such a disgrace, especially considering its pedigree. It's like one of the best cheesecakes there is was impregnated by one of the best chocolates there is and gave birth to a piece of shit. The Godiva can splash directly into the toilet tier. Fried black. Number 27, the lemon raspberry cream cheesecake. Lemon and raspberry go well together in many culinary venues, and it looks like that trend is set to continue. Here it hits with just the right blend of sweet and tart. Part feisty, part loving, it's a citrusy cake that's a reliable piece to fall back on when no other will do. Think of choosing one as like deciding on the right romantic gesture to show your partner when you want to be sexy and affectionate. A kiss would be too affectionate, a French kiss would be too sexy. So we compromise with a quick butt pop. It gives so much and costs so little, kinda like a slice of lemon raspberry. Well, actually no. As a side note, all of these cakes cost way too much. But if you're working with them, you shouldn't be paying full price anyway. I know I don't, except for that time I bought that insulting s'mores somehow. This is mentioned somewhere else in this list, but that thing sucked. If we had a tier below fried black called something along the lines of edible shit, that'd be exactly where we'd flush the s'mores. Anyway, the lemon raspberry isn't shit. Therefore, it's a fine subject to return to in order to cure the afflicting aftertaste of the aforementioned fried af. That was amusing to say. On the contrary, it's a fresh-tasting, invigorating bite, almost like a citrusy mint. Ugly aftertaste got you down? Give that mouth a scrubbing with this wonderful, sharply flavored cut of lightly cooked cake. Medium rare, get in there. Number 28, the salted caramel cheesecake. I like caramel well enough, but the salt makes it kinda weird. Salt is good on some things and terrible on others. A salted margarita is liable to gain more bite over a sugared one, which is amusing, but a salted slug is liable to lose its hydration and pulse, which I guess is also amusing if you haven't lived longer than a decade yet. Salt is an effective ingredient when deployed to ward off both bland flavors and evil spirits, but an ineffective one when dissolved in water you want to use to continue living. Seawater is essentially poison, okay? Just FYI for those of you who are dry curious. Anyway, I mentioned salt is good against bland flavors. There gotta be some. Caramel isn't bland, therefore adding salt doesn't enhance it at all. If anything, it makes it bite back, except here it's to its detriment. But hey, you'd bite back too if you were an aspiring caramel cake dealing with feelings of inadequacy next to the likes of the Dolce. Your every inch is just not as desirable, becoming a permanent full-body wound. Then someone tries to enhance you by showering you with salt? That's cruel. We should change its name to the assaulted caramel. It seems like it's had a tough time, so in an interest of not provoking it more, we'll settle on a medium roasting. Number 29, the Dulce de Leche Caramel Cheesecake. That's right, the far superior caramel cake is here to lead us all to the land of milk and funny. It's not even a contest though. The Dulce is so creamy, so smooth, so caramelly, and sweet as sugar, unlike the salted caramel which is sweet as salt. Hey, half-baked reference for the half-baked cake. Some people say they always forget about the dolce because they've never eaten one. For the initiated, forgetting the dolce is about as hard as forgetting to open your eyes when you wake up in the morning. So, to the uninitiated, I say what they should forget are those excuses, and instead devote themselves to my field-tested procedure to remedy this suffering. Step 1. Get a slice of the dolce. You can accomplish this by paying for one, or by redeeming cake vouchers, which I call indentured servitude compensation, but managers refer to them more politely as green tickets. Step 2. Eat the slice of the dolce. You can accomplish this by trying to. Step 3. Take the rest of the day to review what has now been revealed as so many wasted years. Now lick that plate clean like Squidward licking a Krabby Patty grave, you apprehensive appetite placating coward you. I think the only thing I can really knock the dolce for is how much of the work on your dad bod it'll help you skip. Hunt a few of these down a week and soon you'll have a godly gut. The dulce de leche is top tier. Get up there. Number 30, the tiramisu cake. I almost missed this one because of how basic and similar it is to the cheesecake version. The tiramisu is so unremarkable in taste that, irony alert, anyone would miss it because nobody would miss it. Wink wink. Moving on, I don't think it likes being touched very much, or living at all for that matter. Get a spatula near it and the tiramisu's response is a suicidal rage quit. Guess its very existence is sort of a rectangular prison, lol. So, the tiramisu is not much of a dessert in my opinion, just like I'm not much of a baker in my opinion. Just as a side note, does anyone else feel like the word bakery is a little hyperbolic? No baking happens in that place, and heating up an apple crisp doesn't cut it. Microwaving an item no more makes you a baker than clipping your fingernails makes you a surgeon, bitch. I know we talked about the tiramisu being hard to cut, but even a well-sliced one looks a little crappy. Internally, I always refer to it as the smash cake. 1, because it looks smashed most of the time, and 2, because it shares 100% of its name and most of its ingredients with a tiramisu cheesecake. That's annoying. That's plagiarism and a recipe for disaster. What a roast. We can just Control-C, Control-V all my grievances of the tiramisu cheesecake right here too. Y'all have been fried black, and no amount of whip or coffee dust is gonna be enough ointment for them burns. Damn, he's savage. Number 31, the Reese's Peanut Butter Chocolate Cake Cheesecake. It's a candy cake. At least it's creative and dressed pretty well, but it attempts to use its association with Reese's, which on a tier list of candy would be one of the rarest pieces in existence, to improve its likability. It kinda works. It's different enough than the other chocolate cakes, which is nice, but it avoids the mainstream and mundane by doing what lots of other chocolate cakes do, choosing candy as their fallback. So essentially it avoids conforming by conforming, in an ironic twist. Is it good? Yes. Fine is how I'd describe it, but it's still a combination of two qualities I find so sigh-worthy, chocolate and candy. And, unfortunately, the Reese's is similar enough to the Adams, in all but looks, that its reputation is hurt even more. If medium well were a category, the Reese's would be a staple. Instead, it gets the highest placement in well done. I don't know, maybe it can be governor of low tier. If any cake would be promoted to mid tier from low, it'd be this one. If we found a way to uncook things, this would be the first cake to get that treatment. Seriously, the line this one straddles between well done and medium is so fine, it's probably only a single atom wide. This is truly a case of well done but not burnt. Upper, low tier. Number 32, the Linda's Fudge Cake. Oh, look what we have here. Straight from the cookbook of chocolate cakes, it's chapter number who cares. To be perfectly honest, the Linda's is a good cake, okay? There, I said it. The problem is, it's held back by its associates. I know it's not fair to judge cakes based partly or wholly on their friend circle or colleagues, but guys, it's just so easy. Case being, the Linda's here is a chocolate cake like so many copy and paste examples of copied pastries, and that's about it. Yes, I know it's a fudge chocolate cake, and I take that into huge consideration. I really do. I'd say the Linda's is so close to being mid-tier because it is good, but is it enough? Because there's so much chocolate available already. Some of it, like the Tuxedo and Oreo, are to die for. At this point, you got a hit so good that mamas are being slapped from coast to coast, and abroad. But speaking of abroad, I gotta admit the Linda's is quite the thick, sexy one. She got the goods, that much isn't being questioned. I mean, once you go Linda, there ain't no need for Tinder. Damn. You know what? Screw it. Listen, Linda, this is the well done you get. Well done, you are literally the only cake that has graduated to mid-tier during the actual writing. Just keep it between us, would ya? Next. Number 33, the Toasted Marshmallow S'mores Galore. Oh my god, this cake. In a way, this was the biggest insult of them all. No other cake had made a grander entrance, swelled my expectations with its mystery and intrigue, and then crashed and burned so hard that it makes the Hindenburg's grounding look like a pleasant layover. Let me explain. I remember my early cheesecake career, long before I set off on the heroic journey of sampling every cake and cataloging their roastability. There was this one, and by this one, I mean this one. This one courted me from the love at first sight moment. But in the land of food reviews, green tickets, and curbside prank calls, I knew I was bound to inherit one if I just remained patient. Time wore on. As my patience and the months were finally spent, I broke and ordered one. It was not great. No, really, biggest letdown of all time. Like so many others, this one's downfall is its blind devotion to chocolate. Marshmallow is usually enjoyable, but not here. To be honest, the only thing Polly liked on this one was the cracker. These affronts alone would cause me to deplete a whole can of butane on it, but let me go ahead and mention the final true insult. See, I wanted to cut my losses and move on from this trauma, but the s'mores didn't give a shit about what I wanted. It was no sooner than the very next morning of me dropping $9.69 on this bitch that one shows up in a food review. I abstained for 7 months, wanted nothing more than to forget this embarrassment ever happened, and what did I get? A free one the very next morning? It was the most blatant middle finger and crotch kick of my life. I mean, the last one had not even left my body yet. Screw the s'mores. I make shit for free. Why the hell did I pay nearly $10 for this piece? Get your ass over an open campfire until it goes out the next morning and enjoy being charred to goddamn cinders. Number 34, the Very Cherry Ghirardelli Chocolate Cheesecake. This is a handsome cake, with an equally handsome name. The Snickers' full name may be the John Hancock of our desserts, but the Very Cherries trails it closer than a coat of paint, and sounds so much more smashingly sexy doing it. It also looks so much more smashingly sexy. Those pink strokes painted on a chocolate canvas sat upon crisscrossing stripes, why yes. A lot of people would credit the Tuxedo as one of our best dressed cakes, including me, but the Very Cherry is that with a romantic flair. The Tuxedo is like James Bond swagger, whereas the Very Cherry is like Zorro swagger. It's got the goods, the capability, the looks, the style, but also the passion and senorita slaying sex appeal. And abrupt rapid guitar riffs, too. Don't believe me? Just picture a letterbox screen flashing to a shot with a Very Cherry on a plate, and insert that quick Spanish guitar riff, dun 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 dun, and a whip cracking somewhere. See? You'll never look at this cake the same again. However, I've found something to nitpick. It's what Zorro here is hiding, those actual cherries inside. They hurt what could have been a perfect marriage of flavors and lightly cook this cake in the process. But there is still a way to get people to try this one. Fail to mention those. As I would advise aspiring players, if you want to continue getting oral from new prospects, keep your secret cherries hidden. Damn, who is this guy? I fucks with him. Medium rare. Number 35, the Chocolate Tuxedo Cream Cheesecake. The Tuxedo has two qualities that are at odds but also complementary for it, joining together to create quite the thrill. It's got intense yet understated flavor against a sophisticated suit and tie presentation that is at once stirring and calming. This cake's so rare it's wriggling raw, with a taste that smacks. It'll smack your apprehensions right the fuck down, and its fitted suit is the rawest get-up in cheesecake history. The entire experience is pure hype each and every time. Y'all hear that? The Tuxedo is raw and it smacks. It's SmackDown versus Raw levels of hype. Dominating a roster of basic, uninteresting chocolate cakes, the Tux gets it done like nothing else. It's pretty. It's got the rarest quality in this list, chocolate but innovative. It's smooth and silky, and it's at once cool as a cucumber on the other side of your pillow and as hot as passionate swear words whispered on the first side. Every moment is an effortless burial of its chocolate competition. The Tuxedo is rare, raw, and dressed to impress. But it follows through with one of the most pleasing tastes to the point you can hear the distinct Linda Who in each satisfied belch. In other words, it delivers the knockout by being a knockout. It's the beginning and end of the fashion fight, the alpha and omega of the taste tournament, the entire journey from student to master. That's why we adorn it with a white belt and a black belt. Other chocolate cakes better get shit-faced drunk on respect for the Tux or plan on taking the beating of their life. Get fucked or get fucked, am I right? Number 36, the Fresh Banana Cream Cheesecake. Now, this cake's a total babe. It's light, flavorful, pleasing, and blonde. Although simple and a touch derivative in concept, the execution is surprisingly fresh. It hits, dude, and this hit is crazy. Better yet, this hit is bananas. Start with a smooth spooning of surface cream, go down on the main body, and finish up with the delicate kisses of banana slices. I fucks with it. Which is probably not a thing I should say with something banana related, but whatevs, yo. I'm continually pleasantly surprised that this cake is not overly banana flavored, or rather it tastes enough like its source material to be respectful, but not so much that you feel like you're eating some rehashed ripoff. They got this one right, though some will disagree. I'm not sure what it is because these bananas don't come with their peels, but if you don't like the banana cheesecake, you're sure as hell tripping on something. Damn. Top tier, raw just as a banana should be. Number 37, the original. Okay, you guys knew this one was coming. How could you grade every cheesecake without the very first one? You can't. And so here we are, the original cheesecake, the one that started it all, the one without which we would not have such marvelous innovations as the other 30-something flavors, our company name, and entertaining tier lists apparently. It gets built-in respect just for being an OG. Having got that out of the way, the original's throne has been usurped by all the young, fresh-faced go-getters it spawned, which bring more range, style, attitude, and expense. In light of this total ass-kicking, the original sticks to its basic recipe, resulting in a bona fide plain cheesecake with a distinct hint of nothing. This is as bread and water, plain Jane, whitewashed wood, and black coffee as it gets. For the love of God, order something with some gray in its persona. Shit, including rotations and seasonals, we got nearly 50 shades of it. Nah, bro, can I just have a cheesecake that's cheesecake flavored? Yes, you can, you insomnia-curing yawn. The original's not bad at all, just unambitious. It's roasted medium. It feels like a masterpiece of art the creator stopped halfway through on. Think about what the Last Supper would have looked like without the supper table. What will we call it then? I guess just the last, which is exactly what this one would have been without all its subsequent variants, and exactly what it is now that we have all the cakes in their tiers, and I'd say ending with the beginning is a poetic way to wrap things up. Oh, that's right. Number 38, the vanilla bean cheesecake. I guess we do have a vanilla cheesecake. Well, see what I meant? Mid-tier, vanilla's alright. So there we have it. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you are wondering why I missed a couple cakes, it's because they rotate occasionally and some were not available during this recording. I also didn't include desserts that aren't cakes, nor cakes that are strictly seasonal. If there's enough demand, those will be DLC. Or maybe I'll be pure evil and stash them away in some sort of infuriating loot box system because fuck you, right? Thanks again for watching, everyone.